Lesson 134. Oikos. Our new word for this lesson simply means house. By extension, it can also mean other things like household, or it can even mean family. For example, if you are reading a text and it says the house of Cadmus, it doesn't mean his actual home he lives in. It means his house in the sense of all the people who live there, his family, etc., etc. But the most basic meaning of oikos is just house, and so that's how we'll use it here in this book. In the nominative singular, we have a circumflex over the first syllable, but in the forms that have a long final vowel, that gets changed to an acute accent. So, for example, in the genitive singular, the final syllable is considered long because it contains a diphthong. That's the Omicron upsilon diphthong. It sounds like oo. And so oiku is the genitive singular. And so there, with that long final vowel, the circumflex has been changed into an acute accent. Same thing with genitive plural, because omega is a long vowel. Dative singular, dative plural, you have long vowels and diphthongs there too. But in the accusative singular, you have a short vowel that's omicron, and so it does not change the circumflex into an acute accent. But in the accusative plural, you do have a diphthong, so it does change the circumflex into an acute accent. And so for those of you who have been paying attention to vowel length, that is the idea that omicrons are always short and omegas are always long, epsilon is always short, eta is always long. For those of you who have been paying attention to that kind of thing, now is one time when it really ought to pay off, because you can easily see, for example, in the accusative singular, you can see that it's got a short vowel. So it does not affect the accent. But in the genitive plural, you have a long vowel, the omega, so it does affect the accent. So if you've been taking note of which vowels are long and which ones are short, the difference there between the accusative singular and the genitive plural should be clear to you. You should look at those two forms and say, oh, sure, that makes sense, because oikon, accusative singular, has an omicron in that last syllable. It's short. But oikon, the genitive plural form, has that long vowel in the last syllable. So throughout this book, we've been training you to recognize these things and to know about vowel length. And so here's an example of a time when it really starts to pay off, because it makes charts like this make more sense to you. Instead of just being a chart you memorize, it's a chart that makes sense logically because of what you know about the characteristics of the Greek language, the Greek alphabet. So I'm telling you all this just to give you a snapshot of how your studies can help you make more sense of the Greek language. Let's take a look at our example sentence. Spanios means seldom. Agorazde, that's the verb that means to buy. It's got the epsilon iota personal ending, so that's third person singular. So agorazde means he, she, or it buys, or he, she, or it is buying. We don't need to use the pronoun included in agorazde because we have a separate word to be the subject. That's imporos. Ho imporos means the merchant. The direct object is oikus. Notice that it's got the omicron upsilon sigma ending. So that's a plural direct object. It's in the accusative plural. So put it all together, and we have a merchant buying houses, and he's doing it seldom. So we'll use the simple present and say, the merchant seldom buys houses.